Hi everyone, welcome to Lease Immigration Education. Today we'll be learning how to read your I-130 approval notice. So grab a cafecito and stay tuned. I'm Rebecca Lair-Ybanez, an immigration attorney based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Today we're going to be talking about I-130 approval notices. It's important to be able to understand your approval notices for several reasons. And today we're going to help you learn how to locate the important information. Okay, we are going to start by looking at this receipt notice. One of the important things that we want to look at with a receipt notice is the actual receipt number. We have the receipt number up here in the upper left-hand corner. This receipt number should not be foreign because it should be the same receipt number that was on your receipt notice. This is the number that you can use to check the status of the case online. That's the receipt number, this one right here. All right, next we have the case type. This is an I-130 petition. We have the receipt date, which is July 26, 2007, and the priority date, which is July 17, 2007. Now, most times, the receipt date and the priority date will be very close together. However, they are different. The priority date is the date that we want to concentrate on for most purposes. The priority date is the one that acts as a waiting number in the case of a petition which is in one of the preference categories, which means that it's a petition for somebody who is subject to some period of waiting between the time of the petition approval and being eligible to get the actual green card. The priority date is generally the date that the mail packet with the petition or the electronic one, if that's how it was filed, is received by immigration. In the case of packages, physical paperwork that is mailed into the government, then sometimes if the mailroom is very far behind, it might take them some time to open up the packet and receipt the payment. In those cases, the priority date and the receipt date might be different. For instance, here we have a difference of about 9 days, which tells me that the mailroom was a little bit behind. Next, we have information on the petitioner. This is the person who is either a United States citizen or a legal permanent resident who filed the petition for their relative. We have the notice date. This is going to be the date that the I-130 was approved. That's important for Child Status Protection Act calculations. We have the beneficiary. Now, this is only the principal beneficiary. This doesn't include any derivatives that might be eligible to immigrate with the principal beneficiary. Derivative beneficiaries are spouses and unmarried children under 21 for preference category beneficiaries, of course, only if the preference category that you are in allows you to be married. We have the petitioner information over here. And then we have the notice type, approval notice, and very importantly, we have the preference category or the part of the law under which the petition is being approved. Here, this is a petition for a married son or daughter of a United States citizen. That is a third preference petition. That is important. Next, we have a portion of the approval notice that tells us that the petition has been approved and where the original visa petition has been sent. This petition is for somebody who's located overseas, and so the petition's being sent to the Department of State. And the Department of State normally deals with all the consulates and embassies abroad. However, they do have a office inside the United States which does the pre-processing for immigrant visa interviews abroad. There are some I-130 beneficiaries who might be eligible to adjust their status inside the United States. If the I-130 petition indicated that the person would adjust status in the United States, then this language is not usually going to say that they sent the visa petition to the Department of State. It should say that USCIS or INS has retained the visa petition. It also gives you an idea of how long it might be before you hear anything about the next steps. We can see here it says, please allow at least 90 days before calling the NVC. And the approval notice points out that this approval notice does not grant any benefit. It does not grant any work authorization, any immigration status, any protection. It is not a visa. It is simply the recognition of the immigration status of the petitioner and the recognition that this person is their relative in the way described, whether that be the spouse of a United States citizen or the spouse of a legal permanent resident or the unmarried son or daughter of a legal permanent resident, etc. Finally, we have the location that adjudicated the I-130. In my area of the country, Michigan, everybody who is a preference category beneficiary has their petition sent to the California Service Center, and immediate relatives are generally sent to the Texas Service Center. So that's our first approval notice. Let's review the important parts. We've got the priority date. We've got the section of law that it's under. And we have the location of the original visa petition. Those are all important things that we want to keep in the back of our head. Let's look at a different one. Here we have an I-130 approval notice. Again, we have a receipt number. We have a received date, which is the same as our priority date. Oops. And we have the section of law that the approval was issued under, which is an unmarried child under age 21 of United States citizen. That is what we would call an immediate relative. It states that the petition has been approved, and as we laid out in the I-130, they have sent the petition to the National Visa Center. It indicates that you should allow 45 days for the Department of State to reach out to you with next steps. The approval of this petition doesn't grant any immigration benefits. Again, it's only a recognition of the status of the petitioner and the relationship between the petitioner and the principal beneficiary. And finally, we have the location of the service center which processed this particular petition. Let's look at one more. Again, we have a receipt number. We know it's an I-130. We have a priority date. We have the section of law, unmarried son or daughter, 21 years or older of a legal permanent resident. We also call this a 2B petition. This approval notice indicates that the original petition has been sent again to the National Visa Center. They want you to allow a minimum of 30 days to hear from the National Visa Center. This approval does not grant any immigration status. And we know that this petition was processed in the California Service Center. That concludes the presentation on how to read your I-130 approval notice. Look for additional videos on what happens when your category has changed since you filed your I-130, and on the difference between immediate relative petitions and preference category petitions. Thanks for watching.